You know that children in the United States through the teenage years up to 18 years old are nothing more than slaves? Did you know that slavery of youth in the United States is legal? The United States government promotes the slavery of youth. In fact, all youth under the age of 18 are slaves. They are slaves of the fascist state, slaves of their parent owners or their guardian owners. Their guardians and parents really own them. They can't do anything without permission of their parents, their guardians, or the fascist state. They have no freedom. They are completely under the control of others. What is the definition of a slave? You know, I looked it up. The definition in the dictionary of a slave is a person who is the property of and wholly subject to another. Also, a person entirely under the domination of some influence or person. They're slaves. The fascist state doesn't use that term, but it's true. All American youth in the United States of America are slaves. Is that right under God? Hell no. What's the magical age of 18? It is an unnatural age that has nothing to do with the laws of God. God's age of adulthood is puberty. We've always known that since the beginning of time. But the fascist, anti-God, anti-natural United States government and other governments that are lackeys to the United States government have enforced the slavery of youth. Okay, well, speaking of this, you know, a person by the name of Lenore Skenazy wrote a book recently called Free Range Kids. I heard about this book, and it's one of the greatest things I ever heard. Thank God there are still intelligent people in the United States, intelligent Americans, who realize that it's not all completely right. Well, her concept is that children have the right to be free at times without parental guidance, you know, to go it alone, have their own space, not always to be under the constant eye of some superior being, you might say, of their owners, their parent owners, that they have the right to be free, even children as young as 9 years old. In fact, this woman left her 9-year-old in New York City, where she lives, in a part of the city by himself, and allowed him to find his way home on the subway system with the complete confidence that he could do it, that he was intelligent enough to do it, and he did it. Many people call her the world's worst mom. In fact, she has a program on the Discovery Life channel called The World's Worst Mom, Lenore Skenazy. But I admire this woman. I admire her to be able to stand up against the fascist ignorance and the mountains of idiot people in the United States of America that still believe that they have to enslave their kids and follow the fascist state and keep them as slaves, that they're so afraid they can't even go outside. Recently, in South Carolina, a woman was placed under arrest and lost custody of her kids simply because she allowed her kids, who I believe were 9 years old, to play alone in a public park. Because the world, the United States, is such a horrible place, supposedly, such a dangerous place, the terrorist nation, the terrorist leader of nations, that you can't leave your kids be free. When I was a kid, it wasn't like that, thank God. And look at how horrible we turned out. Well, I'm a hobo, but that's not so horrible. Not everybody's a hobo like me. But I'm free, I'm 60 years old, you know. I'm not a drug addict, I'm not an alcoholic, and I made it to this age, so I couldn't have done everything wrong, you know. So what I'm speaking of is that we have to analyze this. God said that children, youth, should receive their complete and total freedom at puberty. And it's been that way for more than 13,000 years that man has been on the face of the earth, until the last, 40, 50 years, that all of a sudden, boom, the clamps came down. If I was a youth today, I'd be protesting. I'd be raising hell. You can't run away. A runaway is a criminal, just like a runaway slave back in the times of racial slavery. A runaway is a slave. A runaway is just like a runaway slave. If you run away, you can go to jail. You can go to a juvenile detention facility. If you demand your freedom at the age of 15, 16, that you should have your complete freedom, you'll get arrested. You can't get a job without permission. You can't rent a room without permission. You can't use public transportation, interstate transportation, without permission legally if you're under the age of 18. This is a crime. It is a horrible crime that the fascist state of the United States continues to commit against America's youth. And someday, I have faith, someday America's youth and other intelligent adults, what few there are in the United States, will demand that this law be changed, that this is an absurdity. Someday in the future, I probably won't be here, we'll look back and say, can you believe that a nation supposedly so advanced as the United States enslaved their children up to 18? I mean, these are adults. You know, these motherfuckers can kill you at the age of 12. They're bigger than me. Yeah, even 11-year-olds. I've seen 11-year-olds in this country that are bigger than me. That can kill you, and they do kill people. But they have no freedom legally until they're 18. This is absolutely absurd. It's absolutely absurd. But anyways, this is a great book, and I do recommend this book, Free Range Kids. The complete title is Free Range Kids, How to Raise Safe, Self-Reliant Children Without Going Nuts with Worry. You know, she says that crime is at the lowest rate, and this is true. According to all the statistics, crime is in the United States of America is at its lowest rate since the 60s. And I know it, being a hobo going all around this country is a very dangerous thing, but you know what? I can walk around Houston, I walk around Charlotte, North Carolina, I walk around San Antonio, many cities in the country, including New York, without much fear. And I wouldn't walk around Baltimore, and I wouldn't walk around Philly or Washington, D.C. Those are exceptions to the rule. But in most parts of the United States, crime is much lower than it was when I was a kid, you know? And, you know, but you don't see kids anywhere. You don't see them. When I first started my hobo life, about 35 years ago, on going free, because I believe in absolute freedom, I still, once in a while, would find a kid along a creek somewhere. I still would once in a while find some kids fishing somewhere alone. Today, I would be shocked to see that. I would be shocked. It'd be so rare. You know, I'm like, my God, I can't believe it. Not in the United States. As soon as you cross that border to Mexico or other countries, there you still see normality. The United States, an abnormal, unnatural, fascist state, you don't see that anymore. And we have ruined an entire generation of youth. They're ruined. That's why they're so unfriendly. That's why they're so rude. That's why they're so antisocial when they do receive their freedom over the age of 18. Go into a Walmart or someplace like that where they have a young person just over the age of 18 working. They don't know how to say thank you. They don't know how to say hello, have a nice day. They're completely, totally like in another world, you know, but not our world, not the world of God, not the natural world, not the world they should be in. And maybe it's not their fault because the way they have been raised to be unfriendly, don't talk to strangers, you know, like we're all perverts. Everybody's a damn pervert, which is just not true. Anyways, great book. Thank you, Lenore Skenazy, for being one of the few intelligent women in this country that, you know, write such an excellent book. Thank you. Have a nice day. I'm Rishayan. That's my opinion for today.